All right, my good people, we are connected for the Tuesday edition, the 23rd of December. And as always, looking forward to connecting and sharing my 2 cents on a variety of subject matter. And it looks like just saying the word silver is all that matters. But there's a couple questions, thoughts, ideas I want to put out there. And it has a lot to do with, Shanghai leading the way. And then, of course, we have the possibility of a $75 Christmas when it comes to silver. And then where we go from there, nobody knows. But then one thing I do know, it's going up for sure with silver and gold. And so I got all types of things. Man, I have maybe 7, 8 tabs. A lot of things I bookmarked throughout the last couple of days that I wanted to touch on, but due to traveling and things on my side, just didn't connect. But yeah, it's an interesting day, man. So I'm definitely looking forward to connecting, sharing my 2 cents on a variety of subject matters I mentioned. For those who might be new, you never know. Let me know where you're watching from. Feel free to leave thoughts, ideas, suggestions in the chat, or if you're watching a replay, drop them in the comments. I definitely try to scroll through it and share my 2 cents. But before I move forward, let me just let you know what is happening here in the D. It is a nice, warm, and hopefully sometimes sunny day in the D. It's 37 degrees. So definitely let me know where you guys are at, what the weather looking like, plans, and anything like that for the Christmas season, man. Okay, so I don't want to waste any time. Let me just make sure we flowing. Let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if I'm flowing smoothly. And Russ Cole says going back to 58. I got some thoughts about that as well, and I'm going to share that. It's okay. So I'll start off with that. So I was thinking about that, this morning with the continuous surge of silver touching $70 plus. Just correcting right now, but paying no mind. But because Shanghai is leading the way, it's already 72, close to 73. I got a chart to show you what the markets closed at on the Shanghai Futures Exchange. And on top of that, the amount of weight that they're, adding to their vaults over there is definitely worth mentioning. But we have already disconnected from the physical and the spot. And what do I mean by that? I am, and I'm sure you are as well, anticipating some type of drawdown in the very near future because of an event. There will be an event. 2026, the probability of us getting from January to December of next year without there being an event, to me, is very low. And when that event comes, whether it's a banking event, housing event, stock market event, debt, sovereign debt, I apologize for that, was disconnected. Technology. But back to the point, there will be an event. And when the event comes, first of all, let me know if you guys can hear me in the chat and everything like that. So let me know if I'm flowing. And so hopefully don't have any more interruptions, but you never know. But there will be an event. When the event comes, what you can expect is a correction in all asset prices. However, this time is different. And what do I mean by that? Is simply gold and silver, spot wise in USD terms, might appear to correct. Once again, this might be a sign that I may not be able to connect. And so if it happens again, once again, this is a software I haven't used in some time, and obviously why. But when the event occurs, the spot price will drop. And so we have possible figures out there 50, 40, 30. I don't really think the actual spot price, wherever it goes, will actually indicate the actual price of what you'll be able to acquire it at. Meaning, if silver drops from next week is by Christmas it's going to be 75. It's going to touch 75, definitely in the Shanghai Futures Exchange. Maybe not here in the Western Hemisphere yet, but after the holidays, you better expect 75 quick. Okay, so if it corrects from 75 and there's an event sometime in 2026, we're going to be probably higher by then. If it corrects and it goes down to 30 or 20,000 ounce, because of the environment we're in, even though the spot price may say 20 or 30, you will not be able to buy it at that price. So those days of buying physical cheap silver, cheap meaning relative to what it is today, are done because of the business side. You're going to have online dealers, you're going to have coin shops, coins to whatever, wherever you would usually purchase from, because of the activity on their end and the operating costs of running a business, they cannot sell silver or gold or whatever at a loss. So right now, more dealers are accumulating, anticipating higher prices. And so they're not going to sell silver or gold less than what they bought it for. So right now, people are buying silver at, say they bought it at 65 or 70 or whatever. If the spot price drops to 30, they will not take a $30 loss on an ounce at this current moment. Nevertheless, say next year we get to 75, 80, 90, 100. You better believe all the purchasing from this point on will be an environment where no one's taking a loss. So my point is, the spot price can drop, but you won't be able to buy it at that cost. So dealers, online pawn shops, online dealers, they're going to freeze activity. They'll only be buying at the spot price that they determine plus the premium. So if there is activity, say if silver dropped to $25 an ounce, it's going to be $25 an ounce, and the premium will be whatever it is to get it back to the cost that they paid for the silver that they're going to sell you. So that could be a $50 premium, $60 premium, $80 premium, $90 premium. And depending on how desperate the person is, they'll end up spending $100 for what a spot price says is $25. That's a $75 premium-ish. You get my drift. So the days of cheap silver and cheap gold, not happening. Okay. So let me get back into because I was attempting to stream, I lost my page. Bear with me. I'm going to try to pick up. I got to reset my page, but I want to get into it. I got lots of headlines, lots of stories, but I got to rebuild my page real. So this is a result of me having to rebuild my page. I got to get back where it was before. So give me a second here. Bear with me. For those who are coming in, my software kicked me out. So the page I had set, I had to rebuild it. Okay, so let's just jump into it. So I want to get right into it. I don't want to waste any more time. All right, so look at what we have right now. Let me refresh this page so you can see what I see. So this is what we have right now. Once again, who cares? Who cares? Silver and gold is already determined where things are heading, regardless of what we're being done here in the West. So literally, Crimex has to do everything they can. Shanghai is leading the future. We're going to 75 by Christmas. Even though China's going to be closed before we get to Christmas, it's going to touch 75 for sure in the Shanghai futures, and I'm going to show you why. But this is what we're looking at right now, and of course, as soon as the market's open, as soon as the Crimex open, we touched 70, 60, it looks like, and now it bottomed at 68, 68 or 60, 68, 90 or something like that, and slowly but surely it's recovering. What I mean by recovering, it bottomed literally at that. Let me get here so you can see what I see here. And then I'm going to get through lots of headlines and we're going to have some fun with it. Okay, so let me zoom in here so you can see what I see. Okay, so let me get you on the screen here. Okay, so over here, right here, as you guys see here, this is where it bottomed out at literally within the last couple minutes. So it got to 68.92. 68.92 was the bottom for today. The chance of it touching 68.92 again today, not likely. So if we go back out 6 hours, it got up to $70. It looks like we got $70.62 at 8:45 a.m. New York Standard Time. So literally $70 down to 69.92, 68.92. Now we're back up to 69.50. So the swings are going to be smaller, and then the surges is going to be greater. Mark my word. Okay, then that's gold and silver. Okay, but also, I know some people may not be interested in the platinum and palladium game, but you can't ignore it because it's telling us where the whole entire metals game is going. It's going higher for sure. And so let me just bring this on the screen here. So I'll give you an update for those who do and do not pay attention. I got to give it to you here. So this is what we're looking like in the primary four monetary mediums, as I call it, because platinum and palladium, whether you are a stacker of those items or not, they're going higher. So once again, for average Joe and Jane, will not be able to go out and buy an entire ounce. So you'll probably be buying fractional anyway until silver becomes somewhat a problem when it hits 3 digits, maybe 4 digits. So getting physical of any metal will do you better than holding a fiat bag. So platinum is 22.15, palladium 18.36. And if I zoom in here just to get the scoop on where we've come with this metal, as you can see here, it peaked out at an all-time high at 22.40 and came down as soon as the Crimex opened. And then now it's trending back up. So, yeah, higher highs and much lower lows. Okay, so what I want to touch on today is I bookmarked a lot of things highlighting the entire silver market right now, because silver to me is the focal point of the entire financial monetary system, primarily driven by Shanghai. Shanghai has already determined where this is going, and it's going higher at the expense of any and everything else, including cryptos. And I'm just even seeing the 10-year 10-year yield spike, or not spike, but continue to increase up as well. So literally, unless this incoming Fed chair gets extra, literally, like, to the point where he wants to cut to make a point, it's going to take a lot, because bond yields will probably still go up, because it's to me, it's a literal admission of debt default, in a sense, to where it has to go up. And so they're going to cut right into a debt crisis, and therefore gold and silver will have to surge that much higher. Okay, but what I want to get into is some bookmarks here to kind of highlight some of my points here. And so let me find the ones I want to focus on. So this is the one that I want to touch on. And so this came out yesterday. I didn't get a chance to talk about it, but here it is now. So this is from Silver Trade, and it's this blue screenshot here that comes out of China from a individual that I've been mentioning before, who basically he gives a recap of market activity with the Shanghai futures, giving price as well as vault activity. And so this is what's driving, on top of other factors, but this is worth mentioning. So it says silver closes at 71.62 in Shanghai. And so this was yesterday. So before we touched an all-time high in the Western Hemisphere of 70 plus, it was already at a USD price of 71.62 in Shanghai. So the point is, every day the Shanghai futures open up, because of the efforts of the Chinese, they're driving new highs every day that then reaches new highs over here in the Western Hemisphere. And so that's why I'm saying we're going to see $75 in Shanghai before we see it here in the Western Hemisphere. But the next day when the market opens after the holidays, you're going to see 75. And so here we have China silver premium explodes to $2.50 over Western bullion banks desperately attempt to defend the $70 level. It says the bullion banks won't be able to defend the 70 for long if China hauls silver any further north tonight. And this was last night, the day before. And so here is one of the things that's worth mentioning. And so as I zoom in here on the screen, it is the amount of physical accumulation taking place in the vaults there. So as you can see right over my shoulder here, where it says change plus 1,800 kilos was added to the Shanghai futures vaults. And we're talking about physical, not the paper stuff. And so literally there's more and more physical silver being added into the coffers of the Shanghai futures exchange. It's coming from somewhere. And clearly, in my opinion, it's being delivered from the Western Hemisphere heading out east. And so literally there is a mass accumulation of physical silver in Shanghai. And this is just reported market activity on the surface. This is public information that's being put together by the individual who does this here. But as you can see here, the red, you go looking at gold, you look at silver, you see here that we were at 71.62, which was plus $6 on this trading day. So December 22nd, this was a trading day. Okay, so I mentioned that. Now, let me share with you today's price action from this same report here that was given to us. And so let me just zoom in here so you can see what I see. And then some of the commentary on it also I found to be very interesting as well that I'll share. And so here, as you can see, this is today. So December 23rd. So when the markets closed in Asia, this is what we were left with. And so literally the markets closed in the Eastern hemisphere. And as you can see, it was 72.65. And so literally every day, dollar by dollar, it's going to climb higher. And then if you look at the amount of additional silver added to the vaults, we have 1,800 kilos. So literally every day, more silver is being added. As a silver is being added, we're reaching new highs in the price of silver in USD terms. And of course, he also lists the renminbi price as well. So the renminbi price is, as you can see here for silver, it is 16,441 is the renminbi price. It closes 16,441 yuan or renminbi, which equates to, as you can see, 72.74. Okay. And so along with this picture here, there's something else that was mentioned, and it has to do with good old gold. And so literally it's the spot difference. So right here, this particular dealer in China, this gold ingot here, as you says here, China Gold, JD.com gold bar, 20 grams ingot. It says here it's 20,800 renminbi, which equates to $4,600 gold. And so that premium there is about to give or take about a $200 or so premium ish in USD terms. And so what we're witnessing literally is the price setting of gold and silver being done by Shanghai, and the West have to follow. And so you have the bullion banks now on this side of town. This is where it gets interesting. Let me share this with you as well. So this is where it gets interesting. So I think about maybe 2 days ago, I came across a report being done by, I think it was Silver Seeker, if I'm not mistaken. But this is the report. So once again, take it with a grain of salt, but it's coming from Ed Steer, who is someone that's been, very influential in the metals industry for quite some time. Is his reporting based upon him reviewing public information that was provided. So this is shared by Peter Spinner, but from Ed Steer. It says the U.S. banks now net long COMEX silver futures, the first time in history. So literally according to this, 5 bullion banks have repositioned themselves and they're going long, meaning that they're going to go along for the ride of the higher prices in silver, which obviously, as I showed you, is being driven by Shanghai. So they have gotten out of the shorting business, trying to cap it at whatever price they wanted it to and trying to profit off of the futures paper crap. Now they're going long for the first time in history. So this also confirms the fact that majority of the bullion banks, or 5, not sure which ones, they're no longer fighting the price downward. They position themselves to benefit themselves going up. Then it says in the U.S., 5 U.S. banks reduced their net short position from 67.97 contracts and are now net long silver for the first time in history by 773 COMEX contracts. So that equates to millions of ounces of silver that the bullion banks have decided that they're going to jump in this party as well. And so with the cap removed from silver, that means new price discoveries daily, weekly, to the point where, while that seems exciting on the surface, and it should be for those that are paying attention to it, then you have to ask yourself, what is the government going to do behind all this? Because this is a wealth transfer taking place right now. Every ounce you hold, you're receiving failing fiat currency as a protection against, what's happening and what's coming. And so you better believe Uncle Sam is not going to go without trying to get a hold of some of those gains whether you sell it or not. And that's the part where I'm like, okay, so just trying to look ahead, how can and what will they do? And then I came across an article that really got my wheels turning a little bit because it has to do with something that I know you haven't heard about because it's hush hush. And so it has to do with the reporting of financial activity, which was that $10,000 threshold for anti money laundering for a select states. It's been reduced to $200. And you didn't hear about that. And until I was scrolling and saw that, I'm like, okay, it's quiet right now. So it's good to say they're going to do more things behind the surface to try to get a hold of information to find out who's transacting, who's doing what. And more importantly, the goal will probably be to find out how much weight you're holding so that they can keep account of it. Now, this is just me speculating, put my tinfoil hat on. These are some things that we should be considering because it's no way they're going to allow the people to return back to sound monetary practices by protecting themselves with physical gold and silver and them not want to know what you got, where it's at, how much you have, if you've sold, you know what I'm saying, to get, to pay some bills or whatever. So just be aware. Expect more information to come. I'll keep you updated. I'm going to share the article with you in a minute. But, okay, so now we see Shanghai's driving it. We see the bullion banks now jumping on board. They're not no longer in. They're not no longer. It no longer benefits them to try to fight to suppress. And so here's another little article as well. And so this one here just confirms more of what I just said with some graphs. And so here on the screen, this is from OptiMetals, just reiterating with a graph the things I just mentioned. It says U.S. banks are now net long. Comic Silver says they have reduced their net position from 145 million ounces short to 4 million ounces long in only 5 months. That's 800 contracts. It says ignoring small options positions. This is unprecedented. European and other bullion banks quite short holding the bag. So if the 5 bullion banks that are going long, my suspicion, once again, we don't have names or any verification of that, but I would assume it has to do with JP Morgan. I mentioned that a couple weeks ago, and some other Wall Street type banks. They decided to flip the script. And according to this here, they're going to leave some European bullion partners holding the bag of shorts where they stand to get liquidated and therefore have to pay the difference between where they're shorting at and the actual physical spot price and cover that gap with actual delivery because no one's going to accept paper dollars anymore to cover these contracts. So as you can see here, this is just more of the activity here. For those that want to read the chart, you can take a screenshot, capture it, or go, look into greater detail, but I'll just give you the narrative. Okay. So it doesn't stop there. Let me give you some more. I have a lot more interesting developments. Let me go back here so I can get back to my screen here. And I'll just share with you all the things I bookmarked that is worth paying attention to. Oh, okay. So also, let me share something with you, a little excerpt from an interview. And it's Eric Sprott. So everybody, Eric Sprott is an OG in the game. And this is from an interview, but it's just him sharing his commentary. And I want to share it with you as well so you can see. So let me know, because not everybody had a chance to probably watch the interview. I didn't, but I rely upon information being provided from X. So I'm going to play this and let me know if you guys can hear this, because I want to make sure it comes out loud and clear. All right. So let me give me a second here. Somebody says no sound. Bear with me. I thought I had my stuff situated. Give me a second here. Let me try to get myself together here. because it is important. So give me 1 second here. Okay, so let me try it again. I'm gonna try to come back here. Okay, so let me go back here. Give me a second here. All right, give me 1 second here. Okay, had to. Okay, bear with me. Okay, so you should be able to hear it when I put it back on the screen here, because it's important, in my opinion, to hear this. And so I'm going to play it again, and then let me know. Bear with me. Sorry about that silence, but it should be good now.
When gold in 2024 broke through 2,000 for the third or fourth time, I forget which it was, I think they lost control of the gold market. And when I say they, I'm referring to the banks that were forever short. You get the data every week. And then I think they finally realized, okay, look, we can't hold this thing back. So that next thing you know, gold goes from 2,000 to 4,000. Now, I think the same thing happened to silver. I don't know what the magic number was, whether it was 35 or 40 or some number like that. And of course, they've lost control of it. And I think everybody knows they've lost control of it. When you watch the day-to-day data of silver, you know that they can't possibly supply the demand. When the gentleman at Morgan Stanley suggested the new model portfolio 60-20-20, with 20 being precious metals. Right. Oh, my God. Right. Blow the lid off. I mean, that just blows the lid off. Can you imagine if they really wanted to go to 20, where the prices of gold and silver would have to be? We wouldn't even recognize the number. You know? Right. It could be like $1,000 for silver to get to 20% silver.
All right. So as you can see there, Eric Sprott, the creator of the PSLV physical ETF. And so he's like, to get to 20% of a portfolio of the 60-20-20 model would put silver at about $1,000 plus. Nobody can imagine that. I don't think it'll happen. So my biggest thing is I'm just not convinced that we're going to see a continual increase in silver and gold price without the government, without Scott Bessent, who is also the sitting chair of the IRS, and he's Treasury Secretary. That's the first time I'm aware of having a dual job, to where you better believe, because I don't believe the government wants the American people to prosper off this transition at all. So there's going to be some disruptions, some interruptions. And I know PSLV is, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, a Canadian. It's in Canada. So if that is the case, you better believe the Canadian government, the U.S. government, they're going to be working to try to have Eric Sprott and PSLV come up off that silver if it becomes a national emergency. So once again, when we enter into uncharted territory, like always, they rewrite the rules. They rewrite the rules and change the name of the game. So that's just my 2 cents there. But I thought that was worth playing for you guys, so you can get an idea as to what is being said. Okay. And so I've seen other people also talk about silver and Samsung. So I haven't had a chance to talk about it yet, but here's just something I bookmarked. So this is from Make Gold Great. And it says Samsung's battery breakthrough gives electric cars a 600-mile range with just 9-minute charge. This will be a petrol killer. It says, except the current EV market alone would consume 64% of annual silver mining, and we already use silver. We already use all the silver we dig up. So could you imagine like this technology becoming standard, where silver was literally needed for this type of operation here? The petrol killer, like, you really wouldn't need oil like that. And that right there disrupts the whole petrodollar system, which of course has already been, I guess, altered. So this is just something that's worth paying attention to, but it doesn't stop there. I got more. Let me give it to you straight. So of course, right now, Peter Schiff is looking very, he's holding his head up high right now with silver and gold. And of course, the Bitcoin community is I'm following there right now. They're complaining, they're crying. They can't understand why silver and gold is doing what it's doing and Bitcoin is not following. And so they're trying to keep hope and hype alive. And, I feel them, it's rough out here, but be patient. As I always say, the Western world will make sure crypto goes high because they can't encourage people to get physical silver. So here's just a little graph here of the activity. This is from Cointelegraph. It says silver up 128%, gold 66, copper 35, NASDAQ 19, the Russell's up 12, Bitcoin down 5.7, ETH down 11.3, altcoins down 42%. And so it's just this map here. The one thing that's different about this map is the divider of tangible to intangible. And right now, the tangible, which is what's necessary to sustain human life, industry, and everything else, is right now hot. It's going up. And everything that requires the things that's going up right now is trending down. And everything that's trending down here is all due to a lack of readily available liquidity. And so it's not until QE officially kicks in and the Fed goes beyond 40 billion a month and what's it called, reserve management, and really began cutting on the spigot for us to see all those other asset classes that are trending down or dropping to go up. And so just be patient. When the spigot cuts on, they flood the world, all central banks flood the world, any and everything that's priced in USD terms is going to go up. But in the end, we know what will stand. At least you should know. Okay, so I got more. Then I'll get to some questions and we'll go from there. So we got, let me share. This I found this to be somewhat comical, but you know how it goes. They got to give us some stats and some figures. But you got U.S. economic growth accelerates in the third quarter. So it happened to accelerate at the same time the U.S. government, that 30-day window of, or the 30-plus day window of being closed, we got the fact that the U.S. economy accelerated. Now, if you believe that, more power to you. But the average person who realized what's at stake on a global scale, we realize that the narratives need to be controlled and maintained. So never expect any facts or truth coming out of mainstream media, or never less from the government. So you can never trust the data. Never trust the data, because it's always manipulated in favor of those who stand to lose the most, which is the government. But just to give you a little bit of their narrative, gross domestic product increased at a 4.3 annualized rate last quarter. The Commerce analysis said it is initial estimate of third quarter on Tuesday. It says the economy grew at a 3.8% pace in the second quarter. Economists polled the result. The Reuters had forecast GDP would be 3.3. So they forecast 3.3, but they got 3.8. And so once again, this has nothing to do with Liberation Day. This has nothing to do with forward purchasing of necessary things for companies to try to avoid tariffs. This to me is a bunch of hogwash that must be spewed in order to paint the narrative of anti-recessionary rhetoric. And so whether it's Democrat, CNN, any liberal people trying to bash this administration saying that we're out of a recession, we were in a recession well beyond now. But it's just very incidental, or not, as to how peachy the narrative remains when everybody knows that things are not good. And then if you look at data points that counter the narrative, we get more information out where things are trending down still, but yet they're telling us everything is fine. And so here is another indicator of just how weak the overall economy is. So here we have a report from Kobayashi letter talking about how we're at a point where we have workers taking on additional jobs is at an all-time high. Multiple job holders. And that has a lot to do with the cost of living crisis that we're experiencing due to the debasement of our currency. But it says working one job is no longer enough to cover cost of living. The number of multiple job holders surged to 499,000 in October and November to a record 9.3 million. The figure has risen 3.9 million since 2020 low. So since the stimmy check time frame ran out, everybody's been looking for additional employment. It says this is also 1.2 million above the 2008 financial crisis. So once again, yeah, this is just information that will not be given by the mainstream media. So here's another interesting fact based upon the stats. It says full-time employment is falling at an alarming rate. This is just another perspective of it. And so literally whenever unemployment or employment turns over, meaning trending downward, there was always There's always been a gray bar. But all of a sudden now, GDP is up unexpectedly, and we're in a very prosperous time for our country. The U.S. economy lost 983 jobs full-time in October, November, bringing the total down to 134.2 million, the lowest since December 2021. As a result, 78.2% of the labor force is now employed full-time, the lowest. So literally, this graph here shows right here, 7.78. And every time it turned over, there was a gray bar to follow. And there's no gray bar right now. Okay, yeah. But once again, it's coming from the media. It's all about the narrative. Okay, so let me just give you one or two more here, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, never a dull day. Never a dull day. I have a lot of thoughts about, we got the redacted Epstein files. There's apparently somebody out there that was able to copy and paste those redacted files and copying and pasting them into a regular PDF file or regular Word document allowed all the words to show up, supposedly. So if that is true, you better believe it's going to be a lot more information being provided from alternative people about whose name's in it, whose name's not in it. But what bothers me most, and I'm going to probably end on this, is Trump's concern with the amount of people who will be hurt if the truth was to come out. And he's also bashing Thomas Massie Steele for what he's doing. And so this is very concerning when we have a president who runs on being transparent and the whole idea of draining the swamp. He's now concerned with people being hurt. Never mind the people who were hurt by the activities. He's concerned with the swamp. He's protecting the swamp. And that's just what it looks like his actions are doing. And let me see if I can find the video. Give me 1 second here. I'll try to find a video so I can play it. But Trump, let me see. Yeah, it's just, this is a crap show. Political theater all the way to the bank, literally. Protecting the swamp at the expense of the people. But it doesn't surprise me because I've been very critical of this administration from day one. It's just like every other administration. They're all the same. They're all in the same boat. Let me see. Okay, I'll spare you guys on that. But it's on the internet if you guys want to go see it. But once again, we will see how this all plans out. My suspicion is that gold and silver will continue to trend higher. The West now has repositioned their stance. The bullion banks have repositioned their stance, so they're now going to be profiting off the surge. And then we'll get in 2026. There'll be an event or trigger that will provide cover for the Fed to continue to drop the Fed funds rate, like shockingly. And then we'll have a surge. And then by summertime, we got the primaries, the midterms. You better believe this administration will make sure that the markets are mighty green and juicy so that people feel comfortable going to the booth to vote to keep the Republican House and the whole Congress intact so that he can continue to do more of what he's been placed to do. And so between now and June-ish, taking some chips off the table. I mean, that will be my thought process. So that's what I'm trying to figure out now, how to reposition and maneuver a little bit so I can be better prepared for the days ahead. So having a strategy is definitely going to be needed, my good people. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed connecting. If you have not as of yet, hit that subscribe, the bell, the check, wherever you're watching from. Feel free to drop a comment, thought, ideas out there. And I see somebody mention about Vans. So as of right now, let me share something with you. Looks like the front runner for 2028 happens to just be Vans. So a guy that comes out of nowhere, bought and paid for, he's now the front runner. Let me share this with you real quick. So as of now on the betting markets, you have JD Vance is now the clear favorite to win in 2028 by 30%. So he's up 30% over Newsom and AOC. So once again, when 350 something million Americans are forced to just consider between these three individuals, we've already lost. And that's why I'm, wanting Thomas Massey to put his name in because he's keeping it real. The fact that he's continuing to put pressure on this administration, to me, is a good thing. And I'm going to stand by my man until I feel that it's no longer warranted, because he could be a puppet too. It says buy a Powerball ticket. No Powerball for me. But anyway, all right, good people. Be blessed, be safe. Enjoy the rest of your day. If you enjoyed this, drop a comment, share some thoughts, take this, share with family, friends, loved ones, give them an alternative perspective on what's going on. And I'll catch you guys later. Peace.